Hi, I'm Father Jim Martin. I'm an associate editor at America Magazine and author of My Life with the Saints. We've been talking about different ways to pray, and last week we talked about Lectio Divina, or sacred reading. This week we're going to talk about centering prayer, which is somewhat different than the ways that we've been talking about praying in the past few weeks. Centering prayer, I would say, is a little more contentless and maybe a little more abstract. There are a couple people who have recently popularized centering prayer in the United States, including Thomas Keating and Basil Pennington, both Trappists. There's three basic steps to centering prayer, and it's pretty easy. The first is you sort of settle yourself down. You quiet yourself down. People generally use deep breathing to help them do this, and try to sort of get to a place of quiet. It's usually good to have some physical quiet as well. The second step is to find what you would call a prayer word. You could use the word mantra as well. And the idea would be to choose a word that you can kind of center on, or that will sort of hold your interest, basically, or kind of keep you grounded. A lot of people like to use God, or Jesus, or love, or peace, something like that, but it doesn't have to be that specific. It could be something that could be something like the word rest. Anyway, you use that word to sort of ground yourself. The third step is basically when you find yourself slipping away from your centeredness, from your groundedness, you return to that word sort of gently. It's a way of anchoring yourself in the prayer. Now, what are we doing in centering prayer? We're obviously not just doing this to clear our minds. We're doing it to come in contact with God who dwells within us. You know, people used to say, and still say, that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit, and we believe that God is dwelling within us, in our conscience, but also in our soul. God is closer to me than I am to myself, wrote one Christian spiritual writer. So the idea is that you're going into yourself to discover God. Now, what can happen in centering prayer? Well, lots of things. Even if you just feel a sense of peace and consolation with God, that's a wonderful thing. But you could have all sorts of things happen, as in other prayers. Insights can come. I think insights are very important in prayer. Intellectual insights about something that you've been wondering about or something that you've been worried about. All sorts of emotions can come up. Maybe a sense of happiness or gratitude that you'd want to share with God and just sort of want to rest with. Sadness, you might experience a sense of sadness, so to be able to sit sadly sometimes with God is a good thing. So insights, emotions, sometimes memories can come up. You can sort of feel a memory that might be very consoling come up in prayer. But you know, sometimes nothing happens in centering prayer like in the other prayers. And in these cases, I think it's important to recognize that any time spent with God is really transformative. Aristotle used to say that we become like what we contemplate. And I think that's true with God. Any time you spend with God is important because it helps to transform you. You don't need to be talking all the time with a friend to experience that friend's love. So centering prayer is a really simple way and a sort of abstract, contentless way of communicating with the God who dwells within us. You might want to try it. It's not for everybody. All these different kinds of prayers don't work for everybody. You might find that the second week we talked about contemplative prayer in the Ignatian tradition. That's more content heavy. It has images and stories and things like that. But if you like something that's a little more free form, you might enjoy centering prayer as a way of getting to know the God who dwells within you.